I figured we would start by talking about the Republican platform because that was actually released this week, the official GOP platform for 2024. And the thing is, I mean, this is supposed to be a list of what the party stands for heading into any election. And part of it was newsworthy because 4 years ago they didn't even bother with it. They basically said, "We don't have any ideas anymore. It's whatever Trump wants." So they didn't actually have a new platform in 2020. And in 2016, that's the last time they put something together, and it was insane. So it's been a while since we've seen a list of what the GOP wants to say it stands for. And look, there's a lot in the new document that I find concerning. That's what I want to talk about, especially and specifically when it comes to church state separation, when it comes to Christian nationalism. That's the stuff I want to talk about. But I heard one complaint repeatedly from a lot of conservatives, ironically. This is what they are saying to each other, it seems. Like, check this out. This is a tweet from one conservative commentator. The 2016 RNC platform mentions God 16 times. The 2024 RNC platform draft mentions God just 2 times. As if they have somehow gotten less religious and that's a bad thing. Um, Look, what this guy is referring to is if you just do a control find for the word God, technically he's correct. It appears 16 times 8 years ago, appears 2 times now. He's partly wrong because actually in 2016 it only appeared 15 times. One time the Republicans mentioned the word Godzilla, and he's counting that as a win. But again, this is not like an apples to apples comparison, partly because in 2016 that document was 66 pages. This year's document is 16, so it's about a quarter of the length. So that's interesting. And here's the thing that they're not telling you. The Republicans right now are well aware that their ideas suck, that the American public is very much against so much of what they stand for. So this time around, they actually chose not to get very specific. They don't have a lot of detailed policy ideas that they're talking about. They have a lot of vague, general, stuff that they're for and against, usually against. Um, but they don't get very specific. And they try really hard not to mention overt Christian nationalism stuff, but it's baked into the platform. And I will show you what I mean. By the way, the 2 mentions of God that appear in 2024's platform, they're kind of generic ones too. One of them is it says that with trust in God's good grace, we'll make America great again. Does that count? Who cares? And the other one says that the GOP's foreign policy plan will protect our rights under God. So even the 2 mentions of God are kind of just generic rhetorical flourishes and not anything that suggests Christian nationalism. But make no mistake, this document, just like the one in 2016, is a gift to Christian nationalists. It's really the same platform conservative Christians would have written, except Republican strategists went through it to make it sound more plausible. And so if you understand how they work, it's not hard to read between the lines. So I'm going to give you some examples of this just to show you what I mean. Let me show you right here. By the way, this is the beginning of the platform. This is the summary. I just want you to notice the all caps all the time Trump style writing here. Seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. And that's how it begins. This is the summary. Honestly, if you screenshotted this and just posted it, someone would think you're joking. There's no way this is what the Republican Party stands for. Number 17, keep men out of women's sports. That's the biggest issue facing the country right now. You would think this is a parody, and it's not. This is like the opening of the document. They only have 16 pages, and they have wasted 5 pages just with BS like this. Okay, but I'm going to get to the actual substance here. So let's go to chapter 1, all right? Chapter 1 is all about defeating inflation, and I'm going to scroll down to How about number 4? Stop illegal immigration. I repeat, one about inflation. But I want to point out the illegal immigration thing because this all goes back to church-state separation. Republicans will secure the border, deport illegal aliens, and reverse the Democrats' open borders policies that have driven up the cost of housing, education, and healthcare for American families. But look, under Donald Trump between, 2017, 2021, what did it mean to deal with immigration? That meant a Muslim ban or a ban on people entering if they're coming from Muslim majority countries. It meant a preference for Christian refugees over people of other faiths, something that even a lot of Christian leaders condemned. Trump said in a speech last year, let me show you this. He said in a speech last year that he's totally going to do all of that again. I will implement strong ideological screening of all immigrants, he said, reading from the teleprompter. If you hate America, if you want to abolish Israel, apparently ad-libbing, if you don't like our religion, which a lot of them don't, if you sympathize with the jihadists, then we don't want you in our country and you're not getting in, right? What do you think he means by our religion? Even the Republicans' plan to deal with immigration goes back to Christians good, everyone else evil. It's very much the Peter Griffin scale of like the whiter you are, it's okay, and the browner you get, no thank you. So even their immigration platform is an example of Christian privilege. You know what I mean? Okay, let me go back to the platform. Let me scroll down to chapter 4. This one's interesting as well. Oops, I missed it. Here we go. The American dream. We got to make it affordable for everybody. Well, look at this. Like accessible higher education. To reduce the cost of higher education, Republicans will support the creation of additional, drastically more affordable alternatives to traditional four-year college degree, which on the surface would be fine. I don't think everyone has to go to college. So, like, there's nothing wrong with that per se. There's actually something on another page that talks about universal school choice. But think about how Republicans deal with education and public education specifically. In red states, they've adopted voucher programs that take that takes billions of dollars out of public education and sends it to private, usually Christian schools. Republicans also support homeschooling, which is almost always a conservative Christian thing to do. Like, what are these prongs in their platform promoting higher education, but only certain types? It's not a call for more religious indoctrination, because that's ultimately what they're trying to do. And it doesn't end there either. There is a bit, this is in chapter 7 here, if you could see this. Knowledge and skills, not CRT and gender indoctrination. Republicans will ensure children are taught fundamentals like reading, history, science, and math, not left-wing propaganda. We will defund schools that engage in inappropriate political indoctrination of our children using federal taxpayer dollars. Just look at this. They want to teach kids reading. Republicans are also the ones who want to ban all the books they don't like. They want to teach history. But no, they don't, because if you talk about like comprehensive American history and the history of slavery and the fact that the Civil War is based on slavery and stuff like that, like they don't want to teach that type of history. They want this revisionist David Barton type of history. That's not true. Science, I mean, that's just a gimme. You know, Republicans are not fans of science. And that they're going to figure out a way to be mad about math too. Remember years ago when they went after like Common Core math? They're trying to teach kids how to think about. We don't like that. Just algorithms all the time. So again, like my point is, even something like we want to teach kids the things goes back to right-wing propaganda and religious bigotry. I mean, gender indoctrination. That's Republicans speak for we hate trans kids. We don't want kids finding out that gay people exist and are happy. So we don't want them reading about any of this. So like all of this is all an attempt to keep kids in a bubble. And also, by the way, I say this as a former math teacher, they're all about focusing on like the core curriculum, but also what are they leaving out? They're leaving out the stuff that a lot of students really gravitate toward: music, art, PE, in the case of, I'm sure, some kids somewhere. Like, they don't really put a lot of emphasis into that because they don't like that stuff, because that's the sort of stuff kids like that helps them break out of their bubble and give them new experiences. And that definitely goes against what evangelicals want. Look at the very next thing on this list. Number 7, promote love of country with authentic civics education. Republicans will reinstate the 1776 Commission, promote fair and patriotic civics education, and veto efforts to nationalize civics education. We will support schools that teach America's founding principles and Western civilization. Like, listen, if Saudi Arabia said, this is what we're doing, we're teaching kids they have to love our country or else, I mean, I think everyone would say, yeah, that's not how you teach history, where you act like you're the best country ever and you've never done anything wrong. But that's totally what they're trying to do. The 1776 Commission is basically the right-wing response to the 1619 Project that centers American history on slavery, because that's pretty much how America became America. They don't want kids learning about that because whites might feel bad about it. Again, this idea that we want a patriotic civics education. If you have to teach kids to love the country, maybe the country needs to do a better job of giving people a reason to love it. You know what I mean? This goes on for a while. There's another section that calls for a classic liberal arts education, which is also code for like, we definitely don't want them reading books that were not written by like white dudes from 100 or 200 years ago. It's all code. It's all code for the stuff they want. And the stuff they want is very disturbing. Look at this one I found interesting too. I'm losing it. There we go. This is in another section. Freedom to pray. This is in their platform. Republicans will champion the First Amendment right to pray and read the Bible in school and stand up to those who violate the religious freedoms of American students. Guess what? Every student and teacher and administrator already has the right to pray and read the Bible in school. Literally, no one was taking that away from them. Who are these people who are violating the religious freedoms of American students? They don't exist. Everyone can pray. No one was taking away that right. The thing church-state separation groups have been going against is like when adults, coaches, teachers, administrators force kids to pray the way they want to pray. Like when you're forcing kids, when you're a football coach who wants to pray at midfield and create a huge spectacle. Yeah, we're going to challenge that. If a teacher says, yeah, we are all going to read the Bible at the beginning of the class, yeah, we're going to go against that. If Louisiana passes a law saying we're going to put the 10 Commandments in every classroom, but only one specific version of the 10 Commandments that even like most Christians don't subscribe to, yeah, we're going to go against that. That's indoctrination. But they're acting like people are anti-Christian or something, which they're clearly not. Here's another thing that is also in this list. I read from conservatives that they were very upset, some of them, because there wasn't enough God in here. They backed away from abortion. They backed away from like LGBTQ issues because Republicans are cowards or something like that. And that's not true either. This is in a section on like common sense, bringing common sense to government. Well, look at number 1, empowering American families. Read this. Republicans will promote a culture that values the sanctity of marriage, the blessings of childhood, the foundational role of families, and supports working parents. We will end policies that punish families. Okay, let's go through those. The sanctity of marriage. What does that mean? I mean, the Supreme Court has already hinted that it's ready to overrule Obergefell and allow red states to allow states to pick and choose how they deal with gay couples, as in they could deny them a marriage license or something. Conservative Christian groups have been demanding that for decades, and it doesn't matter what surveys say about the growing acceptance of marriage equality, even among religious groups. Right-wing leaders are trying to overturn civil rights. And this idea that they want to care about the blessings of childhood. Like, No, they don't. They don't care about children. The Republicans are not for free universal pre-K. They're not for making sure every parent has a good public school accessible to them. They definitely don't want, assault weapons out of schools. So, like, what the hell are they talking about in any of this stuff? There's another section in chapter 8, which it goes to religion. Combat anti-Semitism. Republicans condemn anti-Semitism and support revoking visas of foreign nationals who support terrorism and jihadism. We will hold accountable those who perpetuate violence against Jewish people. Like, okay, good. I don't want violence against Jewish people. But what are they talking about? In their mind, they're conflating actual terrorists with, like, college students and professors who are like, maybe we should look at what's happening in Gaza, and maybe slaughtering Palestinian kids is a bad thing to do. And maybe the US shouldn't be giving the Israeli government weapons to murder kids with. I would think that goes back to, we want to make sure kids have a good childhood, but no, it doesn't matter unless you're an American kid, apparently, and only a select handful of American kids while we're at it. And by the way, this is the Republican Party. You think they actually care about condemning anti-Semitism? Of course they don't. They are the ones who say every Democrat they don't like is Soros-backed, right? Their allied lobbying groups spend millions of dollars to defeat politicians who don't support everything Benjamin Netanyahu wants. So, like, anytime you criticize Israel, Republicans say that's anti-Semitic. So, like, their definition doesn't really matter here. One last thing, I think, in chapter 9 here, Republicans will defend religious liberty. I'm not gonna read all of this, but again, they say they want a federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias that will investigate all forms of illegal discrimination, harassment, and persecution against Christians in America. It's this very last part right there. And notice how they say this. Like, they say, we want to defend religious liberty. And then at the end of the paragraph, they're like, yeah, but only for Christians. They don't care about religious liberty. They're like, you know who has it really bad in America? It's 99% of the Republicans elected to Congress. Those are the people who have a boot on their body or something like that. I'm sorry, I forgot the metaphor. If you think Christians are the ones who are the most persecuted in America, I just want Republicans to tell me which group they would rather trade places with. Like, it is laughable to think Christians are harassed and persecuted when the reality is that conservative Christians are usually the ones doing the harassing and persecuting. I lied. There was one more part I did want to talk about here. Number 4, right there. Republicans will protect and defend a vote of the people from within the states on the issue of life. This is the part that a lot of right-wing activists got pissed off about, because they're like, the Republicans should have been against abortion, federal ban on abortion, and they're backing away from that, and we're very mad about it. But look at what they say in, like, the second sentence here. We believe that the 14th Amendment guarantees that no person can be denied life or whatever. They're highlighting the 14th Amendment as basically saying, hey, if the Supreme Court says there's a constitutional right to life and that extends to a fetus, the Supreme Court can totally make a national abortion ban. So it's in here. They're very much anti-abortion in any circumstances, no exceptions. It is a very extreme thing they're saying in this platform. And of course, that is the wish of the religious right. This is a religious prong of this platform. And the only thing, like, at the very end, they realized, okay, this is bad politics for us. So they say, we will oppose late-term abortion. Notice they don't say how many weeks that is. It's just whenever. To most Christians, like, half a minute old is a late-term abortion because there should be no abortion. And if you just say we oppose late-term abortion, they can just back the clock to as recently or in the past as they want. So, like, 4 weeks into a pregnancy, hey, guess what? Now that counts as late-term abortion. They also say we support mothers and policies that advance prenatal care, access to birth control, and IVF. BS. They don't care about prenatal care. They were ready to overturn Obamacare way back when, right? Access to birth control, No, they oppose birth control. They oppose the use of birth control. They don't want kids learning about birth control. Like, who are they trying to convince here? Because we've seen what they do, and it's not this stuff. And of course, IVF, I know they have to say this because it's touchy even within their party, but a Republican court in like Arkansas, was it Arkansas? Arkansas said, yeah, we're done with IVF. That counts as abortion. It's illegal. And then, like, the legislators are like, oh, we can protect IVF. Too many Christian women like it. Again, this is what's in the platform. This is what they're doing. This goes on for a while. So, I'm going to summarize all this. Okay, you get my point. This is a very religious document. It is a really dangerous document. If they implemented any of the things they really want on this wish list, it would be horrible for America. This is why you don't vote for any Republican up or down the ballot. And it's also telling because if you go back to that tweet I showed you earlier, where some idiot was like, look, they don't mention God. They only mention God like 2 times. Like, yeah, but they don't need to mention God. God is all over the platform. And if you read the platform, you realize it's a wish list for the religious right. Like, all of this is exactly what Christians have been wanting for a long time, conservative Christians specifically. This is what we've come to expect from the GOP. Look, I know there are a lot of criticisms for Joe Biden, well-deserved criticisms of Joe Biden, but it doesn't matter which Democrat is on the ballot for president and certainly down ballot. If you don't want this stuff that I'm saying you go into law, then you vote for the Democrats up and down the line. A throwaway vote for like a third party candidate, that's a waste of time. You're not helping. This is the platform you're going to be implementing if you're throwing away your vote like that. Or if you decide to stay home because every Democrat didn't meet your purity test. How selfish do you have to be to care so little about everyone else in the country who actually would be harmed by this type of platform? I want to show you one last thing before I'm done with this story. There is a right-wing atheist group called Atheists for Liberty. It's the group where all the bad people go when they've been kicked out of all the other groups, like their board of advisors here. Who's the leader of their board of advisors? Oh, look, Dave Silverman, who's been accused of sexual misconduct and all that. If you go up and down, you have a lot of maybe no names, but also right-wing cranks. Peter Boghossian is on there. There's a James Lindsay, who's very popular with the conspiratorial right-wing people. Just a lot. Robert Price, who is a misogynist and has written some horrible things about that. Michael Sherlock, who can't say a sentence without calling women the C word or using the C word. Oh, look, another sex predator in the middle there who's been accused of stuff. I mean, again, this is Atheists for Liberty. It's a right-wing group. But I wanted to show you a tweet from their president, because that tweet I showed you about how God was less in the platform this year, you know how their president of the group responded to that tweet? I will show you. Here's how he responded to it. Progress, because God isn't mentioned as much. And wait, it's not just him. The group itself responded, probably the same dude, but like, we're losing some battles, but we're winning the war because the Republican Party is not mentioning God as much. How dumb do you have to be to think any of this? Like, progress? Where? The only way you say there's progress is if you use some superficial and meaningless metric for religiosity and never read what they're actually rating. I showed you what's in it. Like, it's religion up and down the line. It's insane right-wing conservative theology all over the place. And these people are trying to spike the football in the end zone, even though they're at the 50-yard line. Imagine how ignorant you have to be to think this platform is a victory for secularism, for church-state separation, that you're winning the war as the GOP becomes increasingly theocratic. Like, the Republican Party is not less religious than it used to be. Another Trump presidency would represent a step backwards for church-state separation and a leap into the arms of Christian fundamentalists everywhere. This platform, along with Project 2025, which has a lot of overlap, like, this is not progress. And for a right-wing atheist group to pretend like, look at what we did, everybody. We got Republicans to use the word God a little bit less and taking like a victory lap. Again, I'm just stunned by these people who love to call themselves critical thinkers and clearly didn't read the assignment, didn't do the assignment, didn't read any of this. Like, just utterly stupid. Okay, I'm done with this story. Let's take some questions. Thank you for that donation. Republicans also don't want kids learning about the Holocaust and how Hitler rose to power, since it mirrors their platform. Right on. Yeah, I mean, how many right-wing Candace Owens did it this week, where they're just flat out denying the Holocaust or saying, no, it wasn't 6 million Jews. It was like 14. I don't know, whatever number they want to use now. Yeah, they don't like teaching kids about history. Definitely not about fascism, because they're going to see the parallels. They definitely don't want them knowing about American history, because guess what? It doesn't make America great in a lot of ways. So, yeah, these are not the people you want in charge of education. Didn't the Democrats go on and try to do a cracking down on immigration thing in a bipartisan bill? Yeah, they tried to, in a way that I found really cruel and unfortunate. And I don't love that Biden was doing that, but also it shut Republicans up for a little bit. Trump told Republicans to reject it because accepting it would be some kind of win for the Dems. Yeah, Trump basically threw a wrench into that bipartisan attempt. So Biden then took further action to try to do it himself, which is what I'm referring to, which was cruel. Yeah, I mean, again, if you're asking me if I'm a fan of Democrats or Joe Biden specifically, the answer is no, not really. But despite whatever good stuff he's done, look at the threat on the other side. You only get, this isn't the UK elections. You get two choices, viable choices. It's either play defense right now as a Democrat and live on another day, or just give up on everything and let Christians take over the country. I don't know why people who watch a video like this, who capture state separation, actually want a better country where expertise matters and, you know, scientists have some say in what happens. If you care about any of that stuff, I cannot understand why you would want to vote for Republicans. I don't understand why they hate music and art so much. Usually because, I mean, the lyrics of a lot of songs make people think and interpret and critically, and art certainly supposed to make you think differently and challenge your perceptions, and that violates everything they love and hold so dear. And also, they think music and art is all just run by progressives and liberals, and they think it's indoctrination, more or less. It's why you don't see a lot of great right-wing music. You'll hear protest songs, just not a lot of right-wing music. Poisoning the future generation to fail on the world stage. Idiocracy, here we come. Like, I want to laugh, but it's so disappointing. And yet we are as close to that as ever before. It feels like it. It's not too late. Biden can step down. There could be other choices. We can be exciting. Could be. Arkansas is the crap state. Missouri sits on like a toilet, but they didn't go after IVF. That was Alabama. Damn it. I'm sorry. Thank you. Was it Alabama? My bad. Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, so I get the bad states confused. You want the truth? I'm not an atheist. I just appreciate the intelligence and honesty I find here. Hey, I appreciate that, Tracy. You don't need to be an atheist to watch this. Honestly, I hope the stuff I'm sharing, I think a lot of Christians could watch it and they would agree with pretty much everything I say. So thank you. I appreciate that.